In a small, seemingly peaceful citrus town in Florida, the promise of democracy was shattered on a single day. November 2nd, 1920. Election Day. A day that should have been a celebration of the right to vote became a terrifying, bloody nightmare. This is the story of the Ocoee Massacre, an event so brutal, so effectively erased from history, that for decades it was simply known as the night the devil got loose. It was the largest incident of voting day violence in American history, and it all began with one man's determination to cast his ballot. But before we dive into this forgotten chapter of American history, take a second to hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear this story, and most importantly, remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Now, let's turn back the clock to 1920. Ocoee, Florida, in 1920 was a town divided. A thriving African-American community, many of whom were prosperous landowners, lived in the northern part of the town. The 15th Amendment had been ratified 50 years prior, granting black men the right to vote. But in the Jim Crow South, this right was systematically suppressed through violence, intimidation, and discriminatory laws. The Ku Klux Klan was resurgent, and the political atmosphere was toxic. The local black community, however, was organizing. They had paid their poll taxes and registered to vote, led by figures like July Perry, a wealthy and respected farmer and labor contractor. On Election Day, when two black men were turned away from the polls, July Perry took a stand. He sought legal advice from a white judge in Orlando, who confirmed their right to vote and gave them a note to present to the election officials. The return to the polls was met with open hostility. When one of the black voters, Moses Norman, attempted to vote a second time, he was run off by a white mob. The mob, now armed and enraged, turned their attention to the home of July Perry, believing he was the organizer of the voting effort. They demanded he come out. Perry, knowing the danger, was armed and prepared to defend his family and his home. The first shots were fired. In the ensuing chaos, two white men, Elmer Davis and B.A. Pounds, were killed. This was the spark that ignited the full-scale massacre. Word of the white casualties spread like wildfire, and the white mob swelled to hundreds, drawing members from surrounding towns. They were organized, heavily armed, and fueled by racial hatred. Under the cover of darkness, they descended upon the black community in northern Ocoee. They looted, burned, and destroyed homes, churches, and businesses. The goal was clear: to terrorize and drive out the entire black population. July Perry was captured, brutally beaten, and later lynched near a highway in Orlando. The violence continued through the night and into the next day. The exact number of casualties is unknown, but estimates range from 6 to over 60 African Americans murdered. The official count was a deliberate and cynical underestimation. What is certain is the scale of the destruction. At least 25 black homes, 2 churches, and a fraternal lodge were burned to the ground. The black community of Ocoee was utterly destroyed. Terrified survivors fled, many leaving everything they owned behind, seeking refuge in nearby cities like Orlando. In the aftermath, a chilling silence fell over Ocoee. No white person was ever prosecuted for the murders or the destruction of property. The official narrative was twisted to blame the black community for the violence. Within a few years, Ocoee became an all-white town. For nearly 6 decades, not a single black resident lived there. The story of the Ocoee Massacre was intentionally erased from local history books, becoming a painful, unspoken memory for the survivors and their descendants. The town's prosperity was built on the theft of land and the terror of a forgotten night. It wasn't until the late 20th and early 21st centuries that historians, journalists, and activists began the difficult work of unearthing the truth. Survivors and their families finally had a platform to share their stories. In 2020, on the 100th anniversary, the state of Florida passed a law requiring the Ocoee Massacre to be taught in schools. A historical marker was finally placed, and the town of Ocoee officially acknowledged the atrocity. The road to justice and reparations is long, but the silence has finally been broken. The Ocoee Massacre stands as a stark reminder of the cost of suppressing the vote and the enduring power of historical truth. The story of Ocoee is a tragedy, but it is also a testament to the courage of those who fought for their fundamental rights. Their sacrifice must not be forgotten. Narrator. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.